Welcome to the deep dive. So for years, the relationship between India and Pakistan has been, well, let's just say complex, often defined by tension.
Right.
But today, we're going to explore a different angle, a future of potential peace and friendship. We're digging into a pretty detailed text that argues for exactly that. It really focuses on the surprising common ground and, the significant benefits that might come from cooperation.
That's right. And this isn't just like wishful thinking.
Yeah.
It's framed as a structured analysis. It looks at the fundamental reasons why a peaceful relationship isn't just maybe possible, but could be genuinely transformative.
Okay.
So our goal here really is to give you a clear understanding of these core arguments, trying to move beyond the sort of day-to-day headlines.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. Starting with this, well, surprisingly long list of things India and Pakistan actually share. It's easy to get caught up in the division narrative, isn't it?
It really is.
But this source seems to shine a light on these deep kind of interwoven roots.
Yeah, and what's fascinating reading through this is it's not just historical footnotes. I mean, for centuries, before 1947, this was basically one landmass, right? Millions share ancestors who lived together, went through the same things, built this shared cultural bedrock that the text suggests could be well re-acknowledged and built on.
And that shared past, you see it so vividly in language, don't you? Hindi and Urdu. Different scripts, sure, but largely people understand each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mutually intelligible for the most part. Think about all the shared words, the poetry, literature, even just everyday sayings people appreciate on both sides. It's a powerful connection, really.
It really is a tool for connection.
Indeed. Now, the text highlights how this linguistic link points to a shared sort of intellectual and cultural space.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that, fundamentally people get each other,
Yeah.
which is, pretty crucial for any real dialogue.
Definitely. Then there's something everyone loves, food.
Ah, yes.
Biryani, kebabs, all those curries, chai. It's actually remarkable how similar the food scene is, and the pride people take in their traditional recipes, it's intense on both sides. Food's such a powerful cultural marker.
It really is. And the text goes into how these food traditions often grew up together, influenced by similar, climates, farming, history. These shared tastes are real links, tangible.
To a common past and present, too. Okay, shifting gears a bit. The arts. Bollywood films are huge in Pakistan, right?
Immensely popular. And it goes the other way, too. Pakistani music, those TV dramas, qawwalis. They're really loved in India. It's a cultural flow that kind of keeps going despite the politics.
Yeah, it's resilient.
That's what the source points out. It's striking how resilient it is. If pop culture can cross borders so easily and be embraced like that, well, it says a lot about the underlying connections, doesn't it? Shared tastes.
It does, and it's not just entertainment either. There's this shared reverence for Sufi saints, a common spiritual heritage weaving through different religious groups in both countries. That points to something deeper, maybe, that goes beyond the current political lines.
Yet the text emphasizes Sufism's historical role in the region, its message of peace, love, harmony between faiths. It's a unifying thing that often gets drowned out by the political noise, perhaps.
Right. Okay, what about everyday life? The source mentions similar family and social values.
Very much so. That deep respect for elders, the strong family ties, how important weddings and celebrations are. These are like core tenets of society in both places. Very similar patterns.
And those shared structures, the source argues, create a basis for just understanding each other. Empathy.
Exactly. They show common priorities, common ways of life that really shape how people live, day to day, regardless of which side of the border they're on.
And festivals. Can't forget those. Eid, Diwali, Holi, often celebrated with similar kinds of enthusiasm, similar rituals in lots of communities.
Shared moments of joy.
Yeah, these collective traditions that just cut across the politics.
The document really paints a picture of how these festivals are like visible, recurring reminders of that interconnected cultural heritage. Traditions passed down in much the same way for generations.
Even things like crafts, textiles, embroidery, carpets, jewelry. The source points out striking similarities there too.
Yeah, suggesting shared skills, shared tastes, honed over centuries by artisans.
It points to the shared history of making things, doesn't it? Where designs and techniques probably flowed back and forth long before the current borders existed.
Precisely, irrespective of later political lines.
Or looking forward, the source talks about the youth.
A really important point. It emphasizes that young people in both countries often want similar things: good jobs, technology, connection to the wider world.
Less focus on old conflicts, maybe.
That seems to be the suggestion. Their focus tends to be more on progress, opportunity. The text highlights this demographic shift. Younger generations, perhaps less directly shaped by the trauma of partition, as a real opportunity, a potential catalyst for change.
Interesting. And then, of course, cricket.
Cricket, the big one.
The rivalry is legendary, obviously, but it's also something that completely grips both nations emotionally, a shared passion.
Intense passion.
It brings people together with this incredible intensity and weirdly collective pride, even in the rivalry.
Yeah, and what's insightful in the text is how it recognizes that duality, the fierce competition alongside the shared emotional investment. It's this unique space, isn't it, where intense national feeling and a shared love for the game kind of exist together, hinting at something deeper.
It's quite striking when you lay it all out, just how interwoven these connections are. But what would actually happen if these common threads were, built upon? Let's get into the tangible benefits peace could bring.
Right, this is where it gets really interesting, according to the analysis.
The advantages for both India and Pakistan first.
Exactly. Focusing first on, say, economic growth. The source makes a pretty compelling case that peaceful borders would naturally free up a lot of resources.
Yeah, peace dividend idea.
Basically, yeah. Instead of massive defense budgets, that money could be strategically put into development, schools, infrastructure, healthcare.
You can just imagine the impact of that. A huge improvement in quality of life for so many people.
Absolutely transformative. And linked to that is trade expansion. The potential there is just immense.
Direct trade between the two.
Yeah. It could significantly boost GDP, the total value of goods and services on both sides. Plus, lower costs for consumers. Create these huge new markets for businesses.
Right. Just think of the activity. Goods flowing freely, opportunities for entrepreneurs, benefits for regular shoppers.
Exactly. And there's tourism, another big one. Both countries have incredible religious, historical, cultural sites.
The Carter-Per corridor comes up here, doesn't it?
It does, as a powerful, albeit limited, example of how cooperation can work. It allows meaningful exchange, boosts local economies.
Yeah, Carter-Per really does show that pent-up desire for connection and the real economic pluses. Letting Sikh pilgrims visit a major holy site easily.
And connecting this to, intellectual growth, the text points to collaborating in education and research.
Joint university programs, student exchanges.
Yeah, things like that. Cultivating a generation with shared understanding, building a more collaborative future, intellectually speaking.
You can picture researchers working together on shared problems, students learning side by side, maybe breaking down some stereotypes early on.
Precisely. And another critical area mentioned is water cooperation. This is huge.
Beyond just the disputes.
Well, yeah. Instead of fighting over water resources, the argument is that joint management is actually essential to tackle the impacts of climate change effectively.
Which is becoming more and more urgent, isn't it?
Absolutely. So cooperation here isn't just nice to have. It's becoming perhaps a necessity for long-term well-being, for stability.
Makes sense.
And ultimately, the text sort of ties this together by saying the money saved from defense, plus the growth from trade and cooperation, could lead to a really substantial drop in poverty.
Allowing more investment in health, infrastructure, creating jobs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lifting millions out of poverty, opening up pathways to better futures. It's a powerful argument for peace, just on human terms.
It really is. Okay, so those are benefits for India and Pakistan. But the impact wouldn't stop there, right? The source talks about global benefits too.
Oh, definitely. And what's particularly significant, according to the text, is the impact on global stability.
How so?
Well, simply put, less tension between these two nuclear-armed nations lowers the risk of escalation. That's a massive concern for the whole world.
Yeah, that's a sobering but really crucial point. The stability here matters globally.
Hugely. And furthermore, the source highlights how a more stable South Asia would mean smoother global trade routes, better connections between Central, South, and Southeast Asia.
Logistics. More efficient trade, lower costs, benefiting economies everywhere.
Right. And the text also suggests something quite hopeful, that if these two longtime rivals could find peace, it could be a powerful model, inspire reconciliation elsewhere.
Wow, imagine that. This region becoming a symbol of overcoming deep conflict, offering a sort of blueprint.
It's a compelling idea. Moreover, the document argues that joint security efforts, India and Pakistan working together, could be way more effective against terrorism and extremism.
a united front against shared threats. That would be a big step globally.
Definitely contribute to greater global security. And finally, the source touches on soft power, collaboration in media, film, sports. It could really enrich global culture.
Showcasing the talent and creativity of the region to the world. Imagine the explosion of art and understanding if those barriers were lower.
Yeah, more collaboration, more exchange.
Okay, so the why for peace seems incredibly strong based on this analysis, but the big question, how? What concrete steps does the source actually suggest could lead there?
Right, the practicalities. Well, the bedrock, according to the text, seems to be sincere, consistent dialogue.
Just talking.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Regular, respectful talks at all levels, political, diplomatic, people to people. It's seen as essential to tackle issues and just build understanding.
Open, honest communication. Seems fundamental, doesn't it? Creating those channels for talks could pave the way, maybe bit by bit.
Exactly. And the media's role is flagged as critical too.
How so?
The source emphasizes the need for media on both sides to sort of step back from narratives that just fuel hate. Instead, focus on balanced stories, people-centered stories that build empathy.
Yeah, the stories we tell ourselves really shape perceptions, don't they? A conscious shift towards more constructive stuff could really change public mood.
It could. Then visa reforms, another practical step the text brings up.
Making it easier to travel back and forth.
Yeah, for students, artists, business people, ordinary folks, fostering real human connections, helping break down stereotypes.
Letting people see for themselves, experience the other side directly, that sounds like it could be really powerful in building trust.
Very effective, potentially. The source also suggests joint projects, working together on things that affect both countries.
Like what, for example?
Things like public health drives, environmental protection, maybe tech development, coordinating disaster relief efforts. Collaborating on tangible problems can build trust, create a sense of shared purpose.
Yeah, working together on stuff that actually matters to people's lives could show the practical benefits of cooperation, couldn't it? Very tangibly.
And cultural exchanges too, beyond just media, promoting joint music festivals, literary events, even using that power of cricket diplomacy.
Cricket diplomacy always comes up.
It does. But these direct cultural interactions, they can help humanize the other, celebrate shared passions, build goodwill from the ground up, person by person.
Right, creating those positive memories and connections.
The text also looks longer term at education, suggesting a need to look at school curricula.
To teach a more balanced history.
Something like that. Acknowledging the shared heritage, stories of peace, alongside the conflict narratives, giving a fuller picture.
Education's so foundational, isn't it? For shaping how future generations see each other. A more nuanced history seems vital for empathy.
Crucial for breaking cycles, perhaps. And circling back to the environment, the source really doubles down on water and climate collaboration.
Managing rivers together, tackling flood risks, clean energy.
Yeah, joint action on these kinds of shared threats. It argues this can create really strong bonds of mutual interest, interdependence even.
Makes sense. When you're facing common threats to survival, cooperation becomes pretty essential, not just nice.
Exactly. But ultimately, the text is clear. None of this happens without political willpower.
Leadership has to buy in.
Absolutely. Leaders in both countries need to prioritize peace as a core national interest. Show the courage to actually take steps towards reconciliation.
Without that top-level commitment, all these other steps might just fizzle out, I guess.
It's likely they'd struggle for momentum, yeah. The value of quiet diplomacy is also mentioned. Back-channel talks.
Behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah. The source suggests these quiet talks can sometimes allow for breakthroughs, build understanding away from the public glare and media pressure.
Sometimes less public talks can create more space for finding common ground.
Possibly. And finally, the text really emphasizes the power of grassroots movements, people-to-people efforts.
Citizens getting involved?
Yeah, encouraging citizens, influencers, young people especially, to actively push for peace from the ground up. That can build real pressure for change. Hold leaders accountable.
So lasting peace needs to be built from the bottom up too, not just top down. Citizens on both sides working for understanding.
That seems to be the argument. It's, a multifaceted approach. It shows that building trust isn't one big leap.
No, it's lots of smaller, interconnected steps.
Precisely. Each one, even if it seems small, adds to the bigger picture. Building trust, creating an environment where peace can actually take root and last.
So just to sort of recap our deep dive here, drawing entirely from this source material we've looked at, we've uncovered, well, significant and often surprising common ground between India and Pakistan.
Yeah, spanning history, language, food, culture.
Right. And the potential benefits of peace and cooperation look pretty substantial, not just for the two nations, economically, quality of life, but for the wider region and the world too.
Huge potential ripple effects.
And finally, there are these concrete, actionable steps outlined that could help build trust. Things like dialogue, responsible media, cultural exchange, joint projects.
And it's important to reiterate every point we've discussed, from those deep historical links to the economic prospects, the practical steps, it's all coming directly from the analysis in the source document we've been exploring.
Right. So considering all these shared roots, this potential for a much more stable, prosperous future for everyone, here's the final thought we want to leave you with. What do you think is the single most impactful step that could be taken right now to really bridge this divide and foster a lasting friendship? What kinds of conversations need to happen, and whose voices do we really need to amplify to make this vision, this possibility, a reality? That's something to mull over from today's deep dive.